Hello there and welcome to a new season of Spartan Sports Report. We're inside CEFQ Stadium where the Spartans will start off the 2017 season just about a week from today against the University of South Florida. Justin Allegri along with Kevin Richardson, happy to have you along on this first episode, and we'll review some of the offseason storylines. We'll also update you on fall camp and take a look at the offense and defense here at San Jose State coming into the 2017 season, and of course talk with head coach Brent Brennan in his first year. I said new season, and new I think is the word, Kevin. A lot of new things here at San Jose State. You look at the administration, the coaching staff, the president, the field turf, a lot of new things here at San Jose State. But in the offseason, a lot of change as well.
Boy, a lot of change. And number one, Brent Brennan hired as a head coach. Ron Carriger out, 19-30 as a head coach, made the change in the offseason. And a lot of talk about, will they have time to put together a recruiting class? They did. They had the precision of a surgeon, really, when they got out there in the recruiting world, got that done. We're wearing the Adidas for this season. That started back in July.
Three-stripe life.
Three-stripe life, that's always fun. And you mentioned the new administration, Marie Tuitt taking over, making a few changes internally. Blake Sasaki moving up a little bit, taking on some more responsibility. Some other people hired from the outside like Steve O'Brien. So should be fun to see what the administration is up to as they get things rolling. But yeah, a breath of fresh air. Change is always good. And if you're going to compete in the Mountain West Conference, you got to be on point.
When we have a difficult schedule for the Spartans, especially the first couple weeks. We're going to throw the graphic up here and take a look at it. But the Spartans in the West Division of the Mountain West Conference, I think you have to say a lot of competitive games coming for San Jose State. With that non-conference schedule, very, very difficult.
Yeah, I'm one of those old school guys, as I always tell you, get out the calendar. Of course, now everybody, you look at your iPhone and go, what are you talking about? There's no such thing as a calendar. But I really break it into thirds. You look at those first four games. University of South Florida, a lot of people around here aren't real posted on them. They are high octane. They are great. They have a quarterback that ran for 1,500 yards, threw for about 2,800 yards. They'll come into CEFQ Stadium to kick things off. Then you get Cal Poly running the triple option. That's always a problem. And then you make a trip to Texas. That should be a great matchup, and a lot of people will show up for that game there. And then you'll also head to Utah. And again, Spartans did well against Utah last year, but again, that is a Power 5 team that is loaded again this season. Then you get into the middle, Utah State, UNLV, right. Fresno State, Hawaii. Those are teams that are really about where San Jose State is. A lot of unknowns, some quarterback issues or transition going on there. And then you get a bye week after the Hawaii trip, and then you get into that home stretch, which is going to be tough. BYU's a good team. San Diego State always plays well up here. And, of course, I love the San Diego State coming up to CEFQ Stadium. That's my first memory of this place, 1974, watching the Aztecs play the Spartans as I get into my 10th year of doing radio for San Jose State. And then you've got Nevada, Colorado State. You're going to get to see that new stadium. I know you're fired up about that.
Absolutely.
And then Wyoming right here with a really great quarterback in Josh Allen, who people say could be a first-round draft pick. So a healthy schedule, if you will, and a lot on the table for Brent Brennan and his staff. I think the key will be, if you look at guys that have navigated a tough schedule well here at San Jose State, Mike McIntyre did a great job back in 2010, meaning the wins weren't there, but they kept coaching all the way through it, went 5-7 the next year. So I'm not looking for a 1-12 schedule this year. Clearly, I think there's more wins there than that. But again, the key for this coaching staff, the key for the fans, the key for us, we've got to stay focused on the next game and say, look, as long as we're getting better, that's how we need to measure this season early on.
A lot of key returners for the Spartans coming back this year, and 6 chances to see them inside CEFQ Stadium this season. We'll take our first break here on Spartan Sports Report. We'll break down some of those returning players and some of the key contributors that may be new names to the Spartans this season. All that coming up after this.
Honoring all-around excellence in men's and women's collegiate competition. Every division, every sport, the Learfield Directors Cup. The prestigious award continues its reign as the crowning achievement in college athletics. To follow your favorite team, like us on Facebook, find us online and on Twitter. The Learfield Directors Cup.
Welcome back here on Spartan Sports Report as we continue to talk through the start of the 2017 season. And Kevin, we look at this team now, and there are some new names we have to go over, but a lot of returning pieces to this Spartan football team. Let's start with the offense. Of course, the quarterback position is going to be the big question mark, has been the big question mark ever since Kenny Potter graduated from San Jose State. But there have been 6 quarterbacks used with regularity in the fall camp. We've seen them in the couple of scrimmages that the Spartans have had, and still it's hard to tell who the front runner is at this point.
Boy, it really is, and the beauty of this is we can defer to Coach Brennan and let him answer the tough question a couple weeks out here. All of them bring unique skills to the position. It'll be fun to see what they do. They're not wed to just throwing the ball or just running the ball. They'd like to have a nice balance, but if they've got to lean one way or the other, they'll definitely do it. But when you're talking about the Spartan offense, all you really got to do is say, look, Valechko, Coloni, Taylor, Gonzalez, Kowalski, those are your 5 starting offensive linemen. 128 starts between those 5 guys. And you want a little cherry on top? Josh Oliver, the big 245-pound tight end. I got to spend a couple hours with him a few weeks ago over at Levi Stadium, and I was just stunned at the body transformation because he was an impressive guy a year ago. Right now, he's an amazing-looking guy. So if you're one of those running backs, Zamora Ziegler, Malik Roberson, you're trying to run the ball, you're pretty happy with that front 5, and then you throw that tight end in there, they can put a little V in a defense for you.
Well, how about that? 128 starts with those guys, and one of them is a sophomore.
Yeah.
So it's one of the most skilled, I think, and complete offensive line units in the Mountain West Conference. And then when you talk about the tight end position, not only you have Josh Oliver, Billy Humphreys, same type of body type. And remember that Josh Oliver just had 3 receptions last year. I think an underutilized player and position last year for the Spartans.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the stuff he did in spring ball and in preseason, you know, they'll send him down the field, they'll send him deep, they'll put him across the middle, and he is a tough matchup for a defensive back and a guy that is as big, if not bigger, than most linebackers. So I think you're going to see a lot of good stuff there. Going back to the running backs, you've kind of got a lightning and thunder kind of thing, right? With Roberson and Ziegler, one guy that's kind of a scat back, another guy a little more of a power back, and then Jamar Williams. So you got lightning and thunder. You got the full storm with Jamar if he gets on track. Big 235-pound body that just can blow it on up in there, and then a couple of guys out on the edge that can just go get the football.
Right.
So if you can get that quarterback situation squared away, I'm sure we'll see a couple of quarterbacks in the first 4 games. But if you can square that away, I think you can put some points up on the board.
Now we go on to the defensive side, and of course, maybe the strength of this team is the secondary, where you have Andre Chachere, Maurice McKnight, Trayvon Bieria had a fabulous freshman year last year, and McKnight and Chachere are seniors coming into this season. So that unit, of course, is going to be the strength of the defense.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, when you look at the stats, a little bit disingenuous when you check those out, because a lot of teams were able to run the ball on San Jose State. Thus, the numbers against the pass look really good. But make no mistake, Maurice McKnight, I've crowned him the best open field tackler in the Mountain West Conference, and he is a great player. He'll do a lot of things. The other thing to think about for this San Jose State team is just the turnover ratio. The last 4 years, they were not positive in turnover ratio. That is a big deal in this conference, or any conference for that matter. So you've got to get those turnovers, and I see a defense that is doing some things that'll cause those turnovers. They don't just sit and try to match up. They'll bring a little coordinated blitz every other play, and they'll try to give offenses some fits. And then you drop down to that second level with those linebackers. Our favorite, Frank Ginda at linebacker, of course, you know, Central Valley guy coming up to the Bay Area, doing great things as he gets into his 3rd year. I think he's got, 179 career tackles thus far.
And 99 last year.
Yeah, and I kept waiting his freshman year. When does he fade? When does he fade? True freshman year, by the way. didn't fade. And if you look at the work he's done in the offseason on his body, I think you've got 100-plus tackles out of him this year for sure.
Well, and then it's almost hard to keep track of the 3-4 to the 4-3 to the 3-4 to the 4-3.
Right.
It keeps changing on these players, and whether it be a player that has gone through the program already or a player that is still in the program, it seems like every year they're dealing with a different scheme defensively, or even a different defensive coordinator. So I know you have a good take on that as a former linebacker, how that can really affect a player in the linebacker position.
Well, and again, you know, 3-4 versus 4-3, again, we're talking about how many players have their hand in the dirt, or in the case of CEF CUE Stadium, the brand new field turf. But 3 down linemen is what they're going to go with. The thought process there is, and if you look all over the conference, people will say that the hard part in the Mountain West Conference is finding 6'5" defensive linemen. But you can find a safety that's maybe a little slow at safety, but is a pretty darn fast linebacker if you drop him down into the box. So you're going to have more linebackers out on the field, which I think is a good thing. Derek Odom, the defensive coordinator, I think has a real good feel for that. He likes that defense. That's what he knows. That's what he's brought up in. And then the other coach that we haven't talked much about in the offseason, but Joe Seumalo,
yes,
the defensive line coach, I think, and no offense to the other coaches because they're all great guys, they're all high energy guys, but Joe might be the greatest get on that staff for Coach Brennan. That is an experienced guy. He knows the defensive line, and that's been a real problem for San Jose State the last couple of years. So the good news is you've got a great coach, and you've got some great returners on that defensive line.
And if you needed to get a good get in a coach, defensive line would be the guy, because 245 yards per game on the ground last year, that's just not sustainable for San Jose State. And they got some returners on the defensive line, but a group that needs to improve this year.
Well, and if you look at where this conference has gone, I keep using that term from last year, but you've got teams that are winning ugly. You look at Rocky Long at San Diego State. He almost kind of mocks the entire process. But what do? They play great defense, right? They run the ball between the tackles. They get good play from their quarterback, not great play. And they want to just mash the ball up in there. And, you know, they had a record-setting running back, and now they're going to replace him with another probably record-setting running back. You look at what New Mexico's doing with their wishbone formation and their option. They're just keeping the ball on the ground and winning ugly. So you're exactly right. You have to be able to play the run if you want to get a winning season in the Mountain West Conference.
All right, Spartans starts the 2017 season here at home against the USF Bulls here at home. 21st rank. South Florida. So it should be a fun game here at CEF CUE Stadium. We'll take another break on Spartan Sports Report and have more for you when we come back.
The 2017 Nissan Altima and the new 2017 Nissan Rogue. Cars that could help stop when you don't. Take on the unexpected. Nissan Rogue and Altima with available intelligent safety shield technologies. Get to Nissan, proud partner of the San Jose State Spartans.
Honoring all-around excellence in men's and women's collegiate competition. Every division, every sport. The Learfield Directors Cup. The prestigious award continues its reign as the crowning achievement in college athletics. To follow your favorite team, like us on Facebook, find us online and on Twitter. The Learfield Directors Cup.
Welcome back here on Spartan Sports Report. Now, San Jose State doesn't get started in Mountain West Conference play until Week 5 against Utah State, but that doesn't mean we can't take a look at the West Division in the Mountain West Conference. Another year, and San Diego State once again is on top of the Mountain West preseason polls in the West Division, but without that man, Donnell Pumphrey, and his 2,100 rushing yards last year. What about the other teams in the West? For the first time since 1993, UNLV had 30 points per game last year, but quarterback problems now fixed with Armani Rogers.
Well, after spring ball, we named Armani the starter going into camp. Obviously, you know, with Kurt and Johnny, they both played games, they both won games for us. So it's great having that, you know, kind of veteran leadership, you know, and behind him. But Armani's a really talented young man, and the last 2 years have been frustrating at that spot. The first year, we had 2 guys that rotated in and out because of injuries the whole year. Last year, we played 3 guys based on injury. It wasn't really performance-based; it was injury-based. And it'd be nice to get through at least 3/4 of the year with 1 guy, you know.
Meanwhile, UNLV's rival to the north, Nevada, has a new head coach in Jay Norvell who makes the change to a 3-3-5 style defense a la Rocky Long at San Diego State.
Just a really tough scheme to prepare for, just hard to identify who you're supposed to block. And there's a timing element when the linebackers and the safeties can time up their blitzes. It's hard to know. They're like fire ants. You don't know where they're coming from. So I really love the scheme. I think it's unique and hard to play against. And we can put extra athletes on the field. So get a little bit faster, get a little bit more athletic, and learn to play downhill and be aggressive and attacking. So, you know, those are all the elements that I really liked about it.
Last year on the islands, Hawaii had a great turnaround with a 7-win season under first-year head coach Nick Rolovich. This year, the running back position may be the problem.
I mean, Diosme is really good. He'll be our starter. Ryan Tuiasoa is definitely a change-up back for us, and he had probably one of the more impressive guys throughout the spring and summer. After that, you're looking at Freddie Hawley, who was a recruit last year. We were able to redshirt. We'll see. I know he's hungry for that second. You know, he wants to get some playing time. And then we've got a cast of about 4 other guys.
When you add in Jeff Tedford at Fresno State, there are 3 new head coaches in the West Division alone this year, making things a little interesting in the West. We'll step aside here on Spartan Sports Report. When we come back, Brent Brennan will join us to talk about his team coming into the 2017 year. All that coming up after this.
The 2017 Nissan Altima and the new 2017 Nissan Rogue. Cars that could help stop when you don't. Take on the unexpected. Nissan Rogue and Altima with available intelligent safety shield technologies. Get to Nissan, proud partner of the San Jose State Spartans.
Welcome back here on Spartan Sports Report. We're now joined by the head coach of the football team here at San Jose State, Brent Brennan. And Coach, well, it's crunch time, isn't it? Just about a week away from the first game of the season. How's camp been going?
It's been great. It's been great. We, you know, we're a little over 3 weeks, or starting our 3rd week, or a little more than that now, because we had the early start with the 0-week game. But it's been great. The guys have been busting their tails and had a lot of good work. The Saturday had a couple of really big scrimmages with a lot of work on the Saturdays, and so guys are grinding. And you know, you're kind of in that. This is the grinder week of camp. Sure. You know, the first 2 weeks, there's some enthusiasm. There's a scrimmage coming. You know, we probably won't go live again until we get to the real deal. So, you know, I think now is when you really got to put your foot on the gas pedal and get some real, you know, kind of that fine tuning done.
It's kind of the culmination of a long evaluation process of the quarterback position. Obviously, that was something that we knew would be a question mark coming into camp, and not necessarily naming a quarterback, but what is the process of finding the guy for San Jose State been like?
You know, it's been ongoing since I got here, and those guys have really done a nice job. You know, they're battling it out. We're charting every throw. We're, you know, every single throw in terms of their accuracy and ball placement and completions and decision making. How they run the team, how they push the tempo. It's really been an intense process for them, which I think is good because they're about to be in some real intense situations. So we might as well dial it up and get them going. So it's been fun. I think the dust is starting to settle a little bit. I don't think it's totally clean yet, but there's some guys making some moves in terms of their consistency and their ability to make plays.
Talk about on the offensive side of the ball to return all 5 starters on the offensive line. I mean, if you got to choose where can you return starters, you'd probably say offensive line, right? Even though you're a receivers, quarterback kind of guy.
I mean, we'll live and die by the offensive line, and I know that. And it's really like that whether they're 4-year starters or whether they're true freshmen.
Right.
You know, you're only going to be as good as you are up front, and so it's really, there's obviously some comfort there. Those guys are good players. They're tough kids. They like to play. Joe Bernardi's doing a great job coaching them. If you come out to practice and you don't know where Coach Bernardi is, then you're at the wrong practice.
Right,
you know,
right.
So, but those guys are really, they're really getting into the scheme, and they're really kind of football junkies, most of them. So I'm encouraged by the progress there, and it's fun to see those guys to go live like we did Saturday and see them move the ball and you know, get downfield and knock some guys down and have some fun playing.
We've been talking a lot about Josh Oliver, big tight end, big blocker. Said he worked on leverage this summer, whatever that means. He can work on whatever. He's huge, right? Talk about that tight end position. Those guys are, it's a good
group. Yeah, it's a really good group. You know, both Josh and Billy Humphreys are doing a really nice camp, and I would agree. Josh's blocking has improved. He's such a specimen. You know, that's kind of the part that you wanted to see him become a little bit more of a road grader, which he's doing. And so then I think Billy's had a great week of camp. His last week has been really, really strong, which is exciting because he's a redshirt freshman. So sometimes that you know, new scheme, new staff, all the things that have been thrown at him as a freshman, you know, now he's coming into his second year, and he's made some nice moves also. So I think we feel good about those guys. You know, Josh really has some really strong playmaking ability, which has shown up in practice some. So you know, I'm excited. It's fun to have a tight end that you feel good about. Yeah. You know, because that's kind of the you know, that's the Buffalo, you know, it's the you know, it's the position that's hard to find. Like, those guys aren't around, and we're fortunate to have two guys here from the state of California that can play it.
Well, Coach, we know that the strength of the defense is the secondary, and we were talking about the defensive line and the linebackers having to adjust back from the 3-4, 4-3. They've been doing it for several years now. How have you seen the adjustment? And it seems like with the energy that you guys bring in the coaching staff, they're on board. They've got it. Yeah,
no, I think they're doing a good job. But, you know, I really believe in Coach Odom and what he's trying to do. He was one of the guys that was in the early stages of the Utah thing with, you know, Kyle Whittingham and Gary Anderson, when they're kind of building that defense that has been in the Pac-12, one of the best consistently for the last probably 6-7 years. And so I believe in what Coach Odom's doing, and the kids seem to really like it. I think just with the staff there, we've got some really good experience with Joe Samalo in the defensive front. Yeah. You know, Joe and I have worked together. This is our 4th stop, and I know that his guys are going to play their butts off, and they're going to be really technically sound. And then I feel strongly about Bojay, Philly Moatu, coaching our linebackers. He's just got an incredible amount of energy, and he's also one of those guys, if you come out to practice, you know exactly where he is. But those guys, the kids are feeding off it, and they're enjoying it, and I think we have some good leadership at that position. You know, Frank Ginda and Will Osai really give us some leadership at that linebacker spot. And my hope is that you mentioned kind of the switching back from the 3-4 and the 4-3 and all that stuff. My hope is that we're going to play this odd front for a while and go from there.
Well, talk about, too, as you look at this schedule, again, I kind of break it into thirds, and that first third it's a pretty tough third to get rolling on, right? First time as a head coach kind of thing. But I keep referencing back to Mike McIntyre's first year, and that was a rough go from a one-loss standpoint. But the one thing he never quit doing was coaching the process. Right. Now, it wasn't a nice, calm, coaching. I mean, he was amped up, ready to go like Mike McIntyre is, but that's going to be a key, right? To get things rolling is to really think about next week, we got to get better and just stay right on point.
No, I think that's what you absolutely have to do, you know. Everybody wants to talk to us about the Texas game. Right. It's our 3rd game. Like, I'm not even. That's not even on my. It's not even on my radar.
Yeah, you got a top 25 team to open with.
Yeah, we're open with a top 25 team in South Florida that has an incredible quarterback, and outstanding coaching staff. Yeah. They got good players across the board, so that's all we're worried about. And our second game is against Cal Poly, and Cal Poly's as good as anybody. So, and you know, having coached there and coached against Cal Poly, I know exactly what they are. Coach Walsh and those guys do a great job. So, you know, for us, you know, trying to take just one game at a time. And, you know, I was here for that year with Coach Mack when we opened at Alabama and then went to Wisconsin and Utah and all that stuff. And I think when you look at it as a whole, it doesn't matter what your schedule is, it can be overwhelming. But I think for us right now, it's just all about South Florida and getting ready for that first game and you know, hopefully getting a really good crowd out here at Seth Stadium to fire up the fellas and get us out there and play a little football.
Good stuff right there. That's the head coach here at San Jose State, Brent Brennan. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take another break here on Spartan Sports Report. More to come after this.
The 2017 Nissan Altima and the new 2017 Nissan Rogue. Cars that could help stop when you don't. Take on the unexpected. Nissan Rogue and Altima with available Intelligent Safety Shield technologies. Get to Nissan, proud partner of the San Jose State Spartans.
Welcome back here on Spartan Sports Report. That does it for this week's episode. Once again, San Jose State will kick off the 2017 season here at home against USF on August 26th. That's a 4:30 kickoff. Tickets are available at 408-924-7589 or sjsuspartans.com. On next week's episode, we'll preview that game with Brent Brennan, and we'll also have an update from Athletic Director Marie Tuitt. But that does it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.